thing, aren't you?
I'm not arguing anything of the sort.
Are we disagreeing that most of the time you're seeing the apparent horizon?
No, you just said loomed up. You just said most of the time objects are loomed up. Do you have
loomed up in the sense of refracted up. Most of the time you're going to be in conditions that are standard refraction at least.
Do you have any evidence of that? Do you have any evidence that refraction is the general case?
Well, are we disagreeing that refraction causes light to bend?
We know that reflection, listen, the fact that an effect can occur does not mean it does occur. Listen, this is typical bullshit sophistry from fucking Globers. The fact that an effect can occur does not mean it is occurring, okay? And you guys proclaim that somehow refraction is the general case. This is the general condition of the fucking air that we look through every day. Well, then how did you figure out it was a fucking globe of 3,959 miles in the first place if all your measurements are optical? How'd you figure that the fuck out?
So what's your position?
No. How'd you figure that out if everything you measured and looked at was bigger than it really was in the first place?
Well, not bigger.
Yeah, bigger. No. Optically larger.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be towering, larger. Right?
Everything
it doesn't have to be.
Up, it's spread out, and everything.
It's not larger.
Bigger.
No, it's not
larger.
Bigger.
It's modeled as larger. What do you think 7.6R means?
Yeah, you mean the planet, not the actual thing you're looking at?
Look.
Are you talking about the globe being larger, or are you talking about what you see being larger?
The globe would optically appear larger if everything was being... Okay.
Then how are you seeing
just a way of constructing a rule of thumb?
If the globe predicts a horizon at 9 miles and I see it at 10, does the globe look like a larger globe? Earth of a larger radius?
But that's the problem, right? Because you're saying that this defies expectations, that this defies the prediction of the globe. But I don't know how it does that, because our prediction has never been that the horizon will always be geometric.
You don't actually have a prediction. You don't actually have a prediction. You have a bunch of post hoc bullshit, dude.
Well, I'm going off of Huey's argument, and I'm assuming you're a subscriber to that argument. If you're not, then you can tell me. I'm just going based on what his argument is.
Look, his argument speaks for itself. It doesn't need to be retranslated or reconvened. You know what it is perfectly. Okay?
Yeah.
And you just got off the fact that, listen, the globe, the measurement, the claimed radius is based on optical measurements, right? Surveying, looking at things. Now, to after the fact say, well, those optical measurements that we did, they're in fact actually wrong because things are loomed up. Like I said, what do you think 7.6R means? That means they increase the radius of the globe by 1/6 and then model everything as if the rays of light are straight.
Yeah, but that's just to increase the distance to the object. It's not to increase the size
increases
of
the entire size of the Earth.
It doesn't increase the size of the object, though, right? You weren't saying that, were you?
It will increase the distances.
Optically, it does.
Optically, it does. It'll increase the distances because all the angles will increase in size. So optically, the Earth would look 1/6 bigger than what they actually measured it as. But what's happened was they came up with 3,959 miles. They started doing measurements, and they're like, holy shit, this doesn't fit. We're going to have to add something to this fucking formula to make it fit our fucking globe. So that's what they started doing. But that didn't work, so then they started with deflection of the plumb line and deflection of the vertical, because now down isn't down, and we got to curve the plumb line and project it on an oblate spheroid. And this is a bunch of shit you don't know that they did in surveying, but this is what they did. You guys think that they're like a globe projection is like some straight lines? No, it's not. They're all curved plumb lines.
Okay, do you think that it would matter if no one on the globe side actually subscribed to this position that all horizons must be no more than the geometric horizon? Would that be important or not?
I think what should be important is that they stop telling kids that ships over the horizon proves it's a globe. That's what I think.
No, they were not lying.
The next time QE comes
they
in,
wouldn't have to lie to kids.
Whenever I try and talk to QE, he just mutes me. The next time he comes in, could you ask him about that horizon part? If he,
you're talking about QE. Talking about your ridiculous argument here.
All right, don't get upset. No one's emotional here apart from you guys.
You can't rebut it, so you're trying to find a flaw in the wording.
Well, no, I was under the apprehension that he meant apparent horizon when he said horizon, but you're saying he meant geometric horizon. And if that's the case, then it does change the argument quite a lot.
Dark Star, you have to think about it like this. If he's applying it to a globe earther and he's applying it to globe Earth, like the geometric horizon, that's what he's talking about. He's not putting in what he believes into the argument because he's trying to test the predictions of the globe, right? With this black swan, right? So why would he use apparent horizon? Does that make any sense to you?
Well, yeah, because he's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but he's comparing an apparent horizon observation, the black swan, to a geometric horizon position, and that's if he's saying that the word horizon, okay, it's ambiguous in the context that he means to put it in because it means different things to different people, right? It would be better if he said exactly what that word meant in that context because it's not clear to me, and I was confused. I thought he meant apparent horizon when he said every horizon. Like when he said every horizon distance measurement, I thought he meant distance measurement to the apparent horizon.
Let me ask you if this
is the geometric one.
Would this statement make sense? Ships being obstructed by the apparent horizon prove the globe. Would that be a sentence that made any fucking sense to you?
No.
No.
No. So that's why he's using geometric horizon, because we've been hearing for years the geometric horizon of the Earth, the leading edge of the ball, is what is blocking the bottoms of ships, objects, buildings, you name it, whatever the object of the day is. They're saying the geometric horizon does that.
Sure.
Okay?
So
if the geometric, this is basically saying the claim that the geometric horizon proves the globe because it blocks the bottom of boats is false, because the horizon is not where the geometric horizon is supposed to be.
But which horizon? The apparent horizon or the geometric?
The geometric horizon, because
the geometric horizon is exactly
this is a corollary of the original claim. The original claim is the geometric horizon. You said it yourself. Is what is blocking the bottom of objects.
Sure, but
you never said. Did you ever say that the apparent horizon is blocking the bottom of objects?
No.
Okay, you said the geometric horizon.
Yeah.
So that's the horizon he's talking about, the geometric one. The same horizon everybody's been talking about for a long time.
But we never made the claim that the geometric horizon can be.
You just claimed it about 10 minutes ago.
No, the geometric horizon is just a function of the radius of the Earth and the observer's height. So that's not even a
10 minutes
question.
ago, you claimed that the geometric horizon is what obstructs us.
Yeah, I don't renounce that claim.
Yeah.
This dude's smart.
So he's refuting that claim. He's refuting that claim. He's using geometric horizon.
But he's refuting that claim by presenting an observation of an apparent horizon. I don't see how that does that.
Okay, well, then.
But how does that do that?
The refutation is that it's apples to oranges because he's showing an apparent horizon and not a geometric horizon.
But that's the thing. Because it makes a lot more sense from his perspective.
How do we differentiate between apparent horizon and a geometric horizon? How do we differentiate which is which, right? So that's the next question. So if it's actually the apparent horizon that makes objects appear to be obstructed, yeah, so that's where we're at. The apparent horizon. Because that's what it is. The images, what you look with your eyes. So that's the apparent horizon that makes things appear that way. So that means whatever's happening is a purely optical phenomenon that has nothing to do with any geometry at all.
But don't you think it makes more sense, like in just reading it, that he would say that up to this point, I'll read the syllogism. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 square miles. 1.225 square root of the observer's height. We have a horizon distance measurement greater than 9.4 miles. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere of radius 3959. Doesn't it make more sense if he's saying every horizon in the context of every apparent horizon?
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a syllogism, because then you're starting to import other logical conclusions into it.
This is exhausting.
You're trying to make really a formal syllogism, which only has specific purposes to prove one idea, and trying to import all these other conclusions off of that. Logically, this is absolutely true. Okay? Logically, it's absolutely true. The conclusions based upon the truth of this,
I got a flat earth joke for you.
Those have to be proved by their own syllogism.
But okay, so the actual if P then Q, not Q, therefore not P, right? The Q is that every I'm gonna rephrase it in the way that you're arguing it is, which is geometric horizon. Just to be clear, okay? The Q is then every geometric horizon distance measurement must be no more than the geometric horizon distance calculation. Okay. The next part is the negation of Q, right?
Hold on.
So how does this observation of the black swan negate that position? How does the
Ooh, did we get it? Must. Okay. What's up, guys? I thought I'd interrupt the pre-recorded audio there because I saw actual members in the voice chat.
Yeah, the global was giving me a headache, so let's go take a break from that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's denying the geometric horizon.
Yeah,
right.
There's too much logical talk.
Too much what?
Logical talk, right? Talking logically.
Logical
Ooh.
fallacies, yeah.
Wow, fallacy fest. I got you. Okay. So I've got this great subject matter in the form of a video for Speculation Sunday Spectacular. Okay, hold on here. I'll give you the name of the video, and I'll post it in a second. But it's by something YouTube recommended to me, of course. The Y Files is the name of the channel. It says your backward voice reveals all your secrets, and the CIA knows it. So they start in on some moon landing stuff, right?
Mm.
And so the speaker of this channel, he's got a little sidekick, right? It happens to be a little CGI goldfish that, you know, gives little cracks and jokes and stuff. It's pretty cute, but so I'll have to back it up, but I got it at 17 minutes 11 seconds, and the fish says, "You know what I want to do? I want to shave you down and make a sweater out of your wool." Because he's called him a sheep.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it's getting pretty cold in here. We're going to have to shave off some wool. I think we can make something out of that, you guys. I think we really can.
Where's the link?
Oh, hold on. Let me go into... I was watching it on the TV. Let me get it on my phone here. Hold on. Oh, God, dude. My dudes. This is pretty good. So, yeah, I didn't want to watch the news and mainstream lying to me, so I thought I'd just watch this fringy BS, and I happened to get a really good laugh out of it, so... Content for Speculation Sunday Spectacular. There we go. So, of course, you know, they brought up the Beatles and, you know, and then they started bringing in on stuff with the moon. Allegedly, the infamous quote by Neil Armstrong has a backmask to it, and I don't know if I can get on board, and you guys know how much I love to agree with speculation. I don't know if I can float on this one. So yeah, I'm not halfway through it. So yeah, where I'm at is what people think about, you know, deep fakes, and, you know, now allegedly there's, you know, special effects, you know, masks that people wear. So yeah, that's entertaining my brain. But what do you guys think about that shaving wool off of somebody?
Yeah, can use it for the globies, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we can make it work for us? I mean, I just think we need a lot more comedy up in here.
If their back is that hairy.
Well, I mean, we got Miggy doing his wig snatching thing. Maybe he can snatch some wigs off sheet. I'll have to tell him and see what he thinks. I'll have to tag Miggy. Let's see how that works. Okay, did he change his name?
It's Mayhem now.
Oh, Mayhem. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, he knows how much I want to see comedy up in here. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me act a fool. Oh my gosh, that's like Sesame Street rap compared to what's out now. You know what? I mean, do people still think DMX is hard? You know what I'm saying? And I'm using outdated lingo, but anyone?
His lingo?
Yeah, my lingo.
He's pretty straightforward, I guess.
I mean, do people still think DMX is a hard motherfucker, can kick some ass and shit? As put out there in his song. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know nowadays, but back in the days, yeah.
DMX is dead, you do realize.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
man.
Look it up. I'm not going to tell you how, but you can probably have one guess in the last 3 years as to why.
I don't want to. Oh, snap. Yeah, I don't want to fall down no rabbit holes.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but yeah, I am an OG rap enthusiast. I don't know if that's a correct word for I'm probably not, but actually I like the genre before like rap and then hip hop. Like pre-funk kind of thing from the 70s. But anyway, but yeah, so that video, definitely, I'd say we need to pay attention to what's being said on both sides. So, you know, just what sparked my attention the most is they were talking about moon landing, what Neil Armstrong said. And the way he says it, prior to me hearing about this, I always thought the way he said it, it just sounded like laborious. Like it was difficult for him to say it. Like he was uncomfortable saying it or something. You know, if someone's overcome and awestruck about something, that's displayed in the tone of their voice and how they say it. And I just don't think, I always thought that it just sounded strange how he said it. Nothing I could really put my finger on. You know how you just feel like you know something, but you don't know how to put words to it. So, allegedly, I forget what it said that he said backwards. Oh, men will spacewalk, I think, is what they claim they hear. But yeah, I'm getting Speculation Sunday preview. So yeah, this is accepted. Allegedly, this is not anything hidden. They say the CIA is aware of these going on. So it's kind of not conspiracy, right? Even though they're putting it out there like that. I guess you guys can't agree because you haven't watched the video. Duh. Okay, so if I'm just now finding out about this little shave you down and make a sweater out of you, I bet you there's an F load of memes on the internet, or maybe we could have a meme contest just for this joke. Flat Earth jokes meme contest. I know we've done a meme contest before, but I'm sure there's got to be a handful of ones that came out of it that were super good. Possibly used to this day. Okay, so other people are in here. Are you sleeping?
Probably.
I mean, serious. We can't have a conversation. Just one. I mean, if just one person is talking, wouldn't that be a lecture? I mean,
I could listen to you while I sleep.
aw, you're so thoughtful to say that. Okay. So yeah, what do you guys think about my Speculation Sunday Spectacular idea?
Sounds good. Yeah. If you bring it up to the others, if they can implement it.
I just know a tiny little bit about language and such. You know, when I took Latin in high school, and I think the sentence structure of other languages were brought up during that time period, and you know, I happen to, you know, that English is the only one that's different. And it, technically speaking, it's backwards. So if you're going to consider a backwards voice, then really, wouldn't it kind of sort of be forwards? You know, what we consider backmasking, wouldn't that actually be considered forward speech? I mean, that's way, way crazy thoughts, but that's what I came up with.
Talk about the backward thing, about back speech.
Right, like when you listen to a Beatles song or Led Zeppelin, and allegedly you hear a phrase out of that backwards, audio.
Yeah, I've heard that before in some music videos.
Okay, so we call that backmasking because we play it in reverse to hear it. But what if, when you look at the English language and in its grammatical sentence structure, it's completely different from other languages, how they write and speak. You know, I can't remember, it's been too long, but so order of, your nouns and verbs and such are not the same as they are with other languages. And I'm sure somebody would have an elaborate scholarly answer to respond to that, but from what I can tell and little bits of information I've gathered, that so what we hear from a recording backwards, wouldn't it technically, if we're speaking backwards, then that backwards backmask would actually be forwards? Am I reaching anybody on that one? So the backwards would actually be forwards.
You mean we will reverse back? That sense away? Or
Okay.
what do you mean?
All right. So, am I coming in? Am I describing my overarching view of the English language that we're kind of talking backwards? No.
I'm not sure I'm following that.
Okay. I get it.
I'm trying to visualize it, but
Okay, maybe I'm overstating my point here, so forgive me. But
it's cool.
have you ever compared an English language sentence grammatically and compared it to other languages that write down and how words are spoken in what order? They're clearly different. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, they borrow the words and then they're spoken differently. Yeah.
No, I don't mean just spoken differently. The manner in which they are spoken. Like, I think in other languages, verbs are last in a grammatical sentence. And hopefully I'm using grammatical in the right way. So do you follow me on that or no?
Well, I follow the thing I said before. But yeah. Do you have an example to give?
Okay, so if you look at a sentence, and hopefully my example is correct. Okay, so if you have a sentence in German and then you have a sentence in another language, let's just say Spanish, I mean, there's different dialects of Spanish, and so, but if you consider from someone from Spain, right? Okay, so you could draw straight lines down in comparison to in what order the noun was used, in what order the verb was used. Let's just say the verb was last in each sentence, but with the English language, the verb would be in the beginning of the sentence.
So basically the way you say it, or?
Yes. Well, I thought when you said that a moment ago, you were saying how you pronunciate words.
Well, different meanings with the same words, yes. That's what I meant initially, yeah. But, yeah.
But, okay, sure. Yeah. So you're saying the same thing, but you're saying it in a different way, which would elicit this backmasking business, right? Now, do you get me? Or no?
I think so, yeah.
Well, because, the spoken word is supposed to be a spell.
The spoken word.
Yeah. So we're putting our spell out there differently. Subconsciously is what the claim is. And, or maybe subconsciously is not the correct, exact, medical type term, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, does that seem to make a fraction of sense? Be it speculation or otherwise?
I'm getting no sense.
No! No!
Well,
does it sound like a viable subject for Speculation Sunday Spectacular?
Yeah, we'll probably need some content out of it, like something to dissect from. If you want.
Oh, you need some visual aids?
Well, I don't know, a clip maybe of that, or I don't know, anything.
Oh, yeah, sure, definitely a clip.
Yeah.
Because it's too long for everyone to just sit like they're in class watching something about space. I don't know what it was like for you guys, but when I was in school decades ago, they used to roll in a television.
Yeah, we had those too.
Yeah. I mean, that was back in the day, when we used to use card catalogs. You pull out a drawer with all these index cards, tell you where to find your book you want, Now we have the internets. We don't use paper dictionaries. Nobody has encyclopedias on their bookshelf. Well, I'm sure a lot of people still do, but not like they did. So yeah, your mom can't tell you. Now, instead of saying, go look at the dictionary, now moms tell their children to Google it. So odd. I mean, I've been thinking for a good number of years that, Google is the oracle. I think we should imagine once a week what it would be like if we didn't have the technology we had. Like if you could actually talk to people in real life, in person. Like if we could, each of us as an individual in our own respective immediate areas, have this kind of camaraderie. That's how it used to be. We didn't have to seek camaraderie over the internet. It didn't exist. And I'm sure that's meant on purpose. Putting on my tinfoil hat. Am I right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But anyway, somebody mentioned that there was a Globie in here a couple hours ago or something.
Yeah, what was his name? Forgot it. Stickier Moss. Some guy working with satellites, I guess, or something, telemetry data of it.
Oh, really?
So he knows the globe is a globe, not believes. That's what he said anyway.
Woo-wee.
Yeah,
could probably get a big ass sweater off that dude, huh?
Yeah. Very confident, yeah.
Make a turtleneck. Woo! And enough to left over to do a scarf and a hat.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he thinks that it's a globe because of satellites.
Yeah, I didn't listen to his whole convo about it, but he mentioned something about working with the telemetry data with satellites, something like that. I don't know.
Did anybody ask him how they lost the information from the first moon landing? You know, how what's his face always, how he says it, you know, that we lost.
Landing, yeah. Yeah.
Did he ever comment on what's his name? Pettit? What's his Don Pettit? Yeah, what's his view on Tom Pettit? That's what I say. He should be asked.
Yeah.
He knows so much about it. What happened to it? That should be something he should know. Don't you think so? I mean, my. So, what was his... Okay, so he thinks it's a globe, despite the lack of anybody can prove curvature anywhere. He says, I look up at the sky, therefore what I'm seeing on the ground is flat. That's awkward. I mean, is he talking about... Please don't say he's talking about triangulation in math like that.
I honestly don't know the whole his argument. Only heard bits and pieces, satellites and telemetry data out of it, somehow proving the globe. I don't know. Or only works on a globe. I don't know. If it only works on a globe, it means they have to assume a model out of it to use the math to apply upon it. So yeah, it's just another fallacy there.
Yet another.
Assumptions based off a model. Have you spoken to any Globers lately yourself in the real life? Any flat smacking?
Nope.
Nope.
I have not been particularly social. I will be tomorrow. I'll be on a plane tomorrow.
Ooh. So we see the courage then.
I know. I'm going to go to Arizona where my sister is.
All right, cool. Paying a visit.
So hopefully my camera will do me well. Ooh, you know what I should do? I should totally take a spirit level with me. I'm pretty sure my brother has one in his garage. And, so yeah.
And a compass? And record.
If he has one, it's in some sort of gear bag or something, probably.
How long is the flight?
You know what? Let me
Is it long enough for the plane to make so-called dip corrections?
Well, I mean, it's going a good portion across the continent, yeah. So it's able to. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so weird. I can't see it through the app. Let me look at the email. Okay, so I will be leaving at 9:07, traveling west and arriving. I think they're 2 hours behind Chicago time, so 11:59 a.m. I don't know if that would be my time or Arizona time. That's dumb. Do you know what I'm saying, though?
About the time zone, or?
Well, it's 4:48 here right now in the AZ.
Oh, wow. Okay. But on my ticket confirmation, it shows the times. It wouldn't adjust on my ticket for a different time zone, all right? Or
probably just the time zone you're leaving from. It's just that.
Okay, well, anyway, it would be 3 hours I would be on the plane from what it's showing here.
All right.
Wait. 10, no, 2 hours. That's kind of a weird. I hate it how I think too much sometimes. I'm a little irritated right now.
Doesn't it state on the ticket how long the flight is?
Okay, I am not any kind of traveler in an air sense and such, so I mean, I have the app. I'm looking at it. View details.
I mean, if you just look up any commercial flights, from there to there, that it will tell you the amount of time it takes. Usually, it should be there.
Oh, okay. So
a 4-hour flight, critical reception road.
Okay, it looks like from the app, looking instead of at the email at the app, a 3-hour flight.
Okay.
See more flight history. Let's see what else we can find here.
A 3-hour flight.
Oh, weird. Shows where the plane I'm going to be on, where it is right now or something. I don't know. This is a lot. It doesn't give the number of miles of my flight.
Which are the 2 states you're traveling from to?
Chicago to Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix.
So, I've only been... Okay, how about this for synchronicities, you guys? This is really cool. So, this is... I can't remember. I'll have to think about the
It says
exact...
1,400 miles from Chicago to Phoenix.
Okay.
3 hours and 30 minutes-ish.
Okay. So yeah, the only other time I've been in O'Hare Airport was, oh my gosh, like 3.5 decades ago. And so I happened to be in my mother's workshop and I look down on this shelf and there's this photo album. So I pick it up. And what is it? The very first page shows me in my great-grandmother's house and with my uncle, my mom, my sister, and we're headed to O'Hare to go to Florida. How weird is that? Like, It just so happens I come across this photo album before I'm going to go back to fly again. I'm just not a huge... Like, my sister's taken I don't know how many airplanes. And it's really uncomfortable for me to say that I'm pretty sure she said to me that she thinks she sees curvature from the airplane.
Oh, you just gotta tell her the window planes usually,
She don't want to hear it. She
changes due to the
yeah,
the pressure.
She literally tells me she does not care.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
So now my brother-in-law is another story. So yeah, I'll be there till next week. So hopefully I can make a hit or two on my brother-in-law. It's like, are you going to buy that camera for when you go to Florida? Probably have to, so hopefully he's still, like, in the back of his mind. It's just been floating around back there about him making an actual observation from his boat.
What kind of observation?
Long distance, over water.
Looking at an object or looking at from far?
Well, I mean, I'd have to make sure that he knows it's best when you're working with known distances, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess, wouldn't entirely matter what the object would be. The more important thing is it a known distance?
Yeah, of course. To do them, apply the math of the globe, see if it actually
holds water.
In reality, yeah.
Will the math hold water?
Yeah, full of holes. The globe, full of holes.
I mean, gravity holds everything together. Why wouldn't we think some other thing like that?
The excuse with the planes why you don't see any dip corrections like with the changes if you use a spirit level? They say gravity take care of that.
Yeah, that's called
the magic gravity.
Yeah. That's called I base my reality from behind my computer desk. That's what that's called. Because nobody's seen anything like what they're thinking how it works.
Yeah. It's funny, the airlines, pilots, they should be, if you ask that question, they should be able to, it should raise more questions about the traveling distances, why they don't do any different.
What, about pilots?
Yeah. Yeah.
saying that they know
should
it's
know more
wrong?
about it. Yeah. No, I mean more
Well-
about why the plane doesn't go down. Like
Oh,
correcting for
why
the
you
dip.
don't ever dip the nose down? Yeah.
I mean, it's
Man,
not a
wouldn't that be
rocket
wild?
science thing. Like, it should be pretty obvious. But they mentioned like gravity or whatever. I don't know, kind of excuses. They don't know what they're talking about. Just pull out some fancy schmancy words out of their ass. I think that explains it all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't even. Is it fair to say that most pilots are like former military participants?
I'm not sure what their backgrounds are usually. I haven't looked into that.
Okay, so I'm not trying to sound like a smartass or anything, but is there like pilot school for private citizens? I mean, I know there is, but I mean, it's got to be some. If a pilot wasn't in the military, they'd have to have some sort of formal accredited training. I mean, sure, you have your license to take, but like any licensure, usually there's, subject matter that is need for study, right?
For sure.
But anyway, what I was
Probably look it up. Yeah.
what I was trying to get. Oh, sorry, what?
No, you can just probably look it up on Google. And what are the requirements to become a pilot? There's probably a whole bunch of things. Probably.
Yeah.
One can be one.
So, I mean, I'd be interested in knowing, like, if they feel like they can't put themselves out there and say, hey, everybody, guess what? It's flat for whatever reasons, employment contractual details or something. Are they, I guess it would be like how I feel about that is how I feel about, like any educators that, throughout their life journey, they discover it's flat after they've already received their degree, much like maybe a pilot. It finally hit them after they got their license and they're established in their career. They're living the good life. Now what the fuck are they supposed to do? I mean, I can't imagine the internal almost turmoil. Like how much justification do you have to give yourself to push that down inside of yourself so you don't think about how you're doing your fellow man a disservice by your silence? And then meanwhile you're just like la 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 la, living a good life.
It's tough when you know the truth and you still have to,
right.
do your job.
I feel bad for those people because it's not like they asked for that. So that's why I get immediately heated if anybody ever says teachers are liars. Like, shut the fuck up, man. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, most of them do what they're told, like what they've been taught, and out of the curriculum, and teach whatever they
believe in it.
Yeah, believe in it. Basically, this is what they say, and they teach it. Basically, that's not.
Yeah,
but they don't do any research, I guess, or looking into it that deep as we do.
Yeah.
But I guess once you know the truth and you still go on with teaching the lies, then then
right.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could take a covert approach, drop Easter eggs or what's, I mean, but, But it definitely, would be more challenging to navigate through that and muster some integrity and somehow. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's everybody's got problems, and the magnitude to which each individual feels of their own whatever, you really can't compare it. Emotional anguish versus, recollection of like physical trauma. They say you can't compare the magnitude of what each individual feels like that, because it could be considered the same for each. So yeah, this is kind of why I really want more comedy in this topic, man. Because, I mean, I think the resurgent is probably about 10 years now. So I would say in the matter of the big picture, from a social standpoint, we need to shift gears.
Oh man, Jen, I'm finally back in the store.
I spoke on your behalf about 45 minutes afterwards. I'm like, okay, I've tried as best I can to factor in what we used to call guy time, but I think we've past that. I think we've gone way past that now.
Yeah, something came up. I couldn't come back.
Obviously, yeah, I get it, man, but that's so funny as fuck. So I got a new Speculation Sunday Spectacular topic idea. Maybe I posted in the live stream. You have to go back and listen to. I don't know if I could relay it quite in the same fashion.
Yeah, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Stream is okay.
So yeah, I'll just give you this one thing. Could it be that in a grammatical sentence structure way, English language is backwards when you look at it in other language, compared to other languages? And so backmasking to our ear sounds backwards, or the backwards masking sounds forward when played backwards. But what if we're actually hearing what it should sound like? Like the backwards is actually forwards, and we're all speaking backwards.
It's actually, that seems plausible, because if you ever heard people speak Old English, there is some audio where people will speak in Old English, and it sounds like English backwards. To me, it does.
Interesting.
I'm going to try and find an example.
Well, the video that I put out there, allegedly this person is citing the CIA as a source of the backwardness. So it's not like it's a secret, it's not a conspiracy, it's something that's there. IJS.
Okay, I'm gonna play a clip of it. Beowulf in Old English. Yes, this would be a trip. I don't know what's up with the bot. Oh shit. I have to reset the bot. Hold on.
What way gar dana in yar dagum feud kuninga thrimye frunon hutha athalingus ellen fremidon oft shield shaving shadhan a threatum monegum maigthum meru setla oftea egg so de erolas suthan arist worth fashaft funda hethas frovra yebad Weox under woknum, weorth mundum tha, o that him aig wilch thara setindra over hron rade huran shulde, Umban that was God Kuning. Them ever was, after Kenneth, young in Yardum, funny good.
See how that sounds, man? Sounds backwards. It's Old English.
Oh, I thought we were listening to something backwards.
No.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was just someone reading Beowulf in Old English the way they pronounced it.
I mean, I know that I'm just familiar with the, using TH a lot more, and I guess I don't know jack shit about it, but that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty. Looks like there's some people that still speak it. They still speak it. It appears in Northern Holland.
Okay. So it's not like they're a tourist site and they're
they're kind of like the Amish. It's called Friesland. They they just still doing it the old way.
Yeah, I've actually heard of Friesland. Well, good for them.
It's hilarious, man. I'm listening to they're interviewing an old guy. I mean, I don't think they speak it now, but they're probably not teaching it to the people that are there now. So the old timers can still speak it.
Yeah.
Yo, last night was so funny. Yesterday, oh my god.
What?
It was just funny because every Glober that came in, we created an event, man, called the Under the Bus Show.
The what?
Under the Bus show.
Nice.
Because Globers kept coming in and then they throw their own claim under the bus, man, and they kept doing it. We weren't even the first two people did it. Where man, they keep throwing their own claim. Steve B, Gracinger is they keep throwing their own claim under the bus. So I'm we'll start an event called the Under the Bus Show, and they would still come in and do the same thing, even though it's we're warning them, but don't do this. But they're still doing it. It was crazy. We were having a great time. It was so funny.
Sounds like it. Oh my god.
Because they'd come in and they'd make some claim, and then one Dogs Are Gods came in and made a claim about refraction and Snell's law and density and blah blah blah. And within 5 minutes, he was throwing his own claim under the bus.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was great. Oh my. Yeah, because everyone that came in kept doing it over and over again. It's you've been warned not to do this. That's the title of the event.
That sounds like that event should become a weekly thing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay,
Clovers were triggering, man. It was pulling. They were triggering in the sense that it was pulling teeth. It was talking to a
brick wall.
It was talking to somebody that was either way too stoned or way too drunk or way too something, man, because they were confused about the horizon. We had to define the horizon to
three
of them.
Dude,
what?
Okay. What? I was listening to this really old lecture of somebody from MIT, and I think that he mentioned. It's called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. And this isn't Bart Sabrell's, this is, let me see, I'm pretty sure I saved it in a particular spot. But towards the last few minutes of the lecture, he starts talking about the test pilots that became the astronauts that went to the moon, allegedly. And so he was saying that they were unable to correctly calculate the horizon. Let me find it. Oh, here we go. So I was kind of like, wait, what? Okay. So kind of what made me think this is that, you know, this MIT people can't do it. Why are you saying you can do it? You know, if we're talking about credentialed persons, experts in their field. So yeah, there's like 20 minutes towards the end of the video where he's just doing questions, but like the last 10 minutes or something of his lecture, he just kind of almost just breezed past it a little bit. I don't know if he was trying to, I mean, he mentions Bart Sabrell, but I don't know if this dude was trying to defend the moon landings or if he's trying to just say certain things that were presented as fact and in a certain way that, no offense to anybody, other geeks would understand. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm reading it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Yeah.
All these MIT open courseware, like they have a web page for it, and they actually have the homework on it that they give.
Ooh, I knew you'd like it when I brought this up.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the homework. It doesn't mention that, but I'll just have to watch the video. Sometimes they don't mention things that are because they come up with the homework before the lecture, right? So sometimes the lecture doesn't have anything to do with the homework. You know what I mean? Like this is your homework assignment that we prepared for the syllabus, like, you know, back in September. But like when you're teaching the class, sometimes you get off track.
It sounded like this dude was almost alluding to the fact of how the hell did we go to the moon with the technology that we had. I recall him saying, making certain points specifically towards that and saying that's impossible.
Well, so I mean, there's an interview with Neil Armstrong or one of those guys saying they navigated to the moon using a sextant. Yeah, the sextant, you could like look outside their craft, like it was a telescope that went through the wall of the craft, and they could look around and tell where they were, their orientation, right? Look like which direction they're pointed in and what direction they're going, using a sextant. And I'm like, that's not possible because the horizon is the first operation with a sextant. You have to find where's the horizon.
Well, this is coming from Globers that think they can do triangulation and one of the lines of measurement is curved. I mean,
you don't even have that line. You don't even get the curved part.
Exactly. Right, but that from their logic, that's what they're using triangulation on a alleged curved surface. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and like if you're in space, you can't even make like an artificial horizon with like a bubble level, right? Because you're in outer space, the bubble level isn't gonna get leveled, right? It's just gonna float around.
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, it's like they're trying to make it sound fancy enough to where average NPC says, "Oh, they know what they're doing. Okay, so I'll believe that too." Right?
Yeah, they just well, you've seen the people coming here. They just automatically believe by default. They don't question it, right? They're not skeptical. NASA comes out, they say some words, and they're just like they believe it first and ask questions later. The whole globe thing is I believe it first, ask questions later. This happened last night. We had someone come in, and he's like, "I know it's a globe." Okay, so Miggy was like, "Okay, so the radius this, circumference that." He's like, "Do you know what the values are?" It's like, "No." Well, then how do you know it's a globe? Because you don't even know what the globe is supposed to be. You know, it's crazy. Like these guys believe things, and then when you ask them questions about why they believe it, they can't even give you details about why they believe it. And then they'll go, "So what is the radius?" I'm like, "Dude, why are you asking me? You already believe it. Like you should know the answer." Like,
Right. I could wish I could give anything in the world, darn near, for me to go back to myself like 7 years ago to know what my thought process was that brought me here. That would be the best. I guess I have to wait till I pass on to know that, right?
Yeah. Well, a good analogy for this is like someone saying, "Oh, I believe in Jesus." Okay. Why? I don't know. What's the Bible say? I don't know. What? You know, it's insane, man. Like,
I do, man.
Like you believe it before you have the knowledge to support your belief. It's crazy to me. That just shows me they're like all brainwashed, man. Because if you ask them about any other topic, they won't act like that to other topics.
Okay, maybe.
Like if you ask them about Bigfoot, right? Like, do you believe in Bigfoot? And then they were like, yeah. Like, why do you believe in Bigfoot? They're like, well, a lot of people have seen it. There's pictures. There's this, there's that, and the other thing, right? They'll know why they believe in Bigfoot or UFOs or the Loch Ness Monster. Ask them, why do you believe in the globe? They're like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. It's just
it's so many of them. It's not like it's just like a globe here and there. It's lots of them. They don't know why. They can't articulate why they believe.
Well,
the spinning ball. It's crazy.
So I would have to say, and I actually brought this up with my mom, and she agreed with me with, I don't know, maybe it was just a brow raise and a smile, but as long as I've lived, and this is not meant to insult any particular group of persons on this earth, but I've never been an order follower. So, I mean, I guess that could be somewhat translated into that I don't believe everything that I'm told, or maybe, I don't know. I mean, how is it that some people can go down, the right side of truth, and then there's others that just kind of waft off to the left, with their nice little woolly coat,
Good question. There's a bunch of possible answers. I mean, it could be like self-confidence, right? You don't need other people to tell you what's right and wrong or what's true.
Right. I follow that, sure.
Yeah, so that's one reason. Then there's like, you don't care about how you look to other people, because that's how another reason people do things. So that's this guy Cheesy Cherry or something yesterday, one of the Globers, and I was like, oh, if you saw a video of Jesus walking on water, would you believe it? And he's like, well, I'd have to ask the experts if the video was real. Like, what? Like, what the hell is that?
That's the world we live in now.
Yeah, he can't believe something unless he's like told that it's real by somebody else that he thinks is an expert. Well, why do you think they're an expert? Because somebody told me he's an expert. Well, how did they determine he was an expert? I don't know. They all agreed upon it, and we all just agree on things. And when a bunch of people agree on things, it's true. That's the weirdest method of thinking to me. Out of all the the rationalizations that Globers do, or people in general, any topic.
So
the appeal to majority, or like everybody believes it, so I believe it. Like,
well, no,
that
it's
one
like
blows my mind.
There's a middleman of sorts involved that has to do with the beliefs that are held. It's not direct, like, oh, I believe this dude. No, I believe someone else that says they believe it because a bunch of other people in their group believe it. That's why I believe that person. So it's like some sort of proxy thing happening, or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like outsourcing your own intellect to other people, right? Like, I don't want to have to think about the problem. I'm gonna
outsourcing your intellect. Oh,
yeah, that's what it's like. We're gonna outsource my intellect to India.
Wow.
And ask the Indians what they think about it. Like, that's what they're doing.
Okay, I love this.
It's like domestic outsourcing. Let's ask these 10 people. I don't know what to think about this. Let me ask these 10 people. I mean, how dumb is that?
Well, I mean, how many times have people said, well, let me Google that?
Yeah, you're asking people that are just as ignorant as you. Like, it, that's the thing. They all believe it because they think another 10 people believe it, right? So you're asking 10 people that have their belief because they think there's 10 other people that believe the same thing they believe. And it's a big circle jerk of like people just believing that everybody believes something, so they all believe it.
Can you imagine the diagram for that one? That would be so
God.
fun.
You
should come up with that. We need more humor in Flat Earth. It's been coming up on 10 years, I think, since the recent resurgence, thanks to the internet. But yeah, I think we need to change gears and open fire on the humor, man, for real.
They provide the ammo, so we're...
Exactly. What are we supposed to do? So in that video that I posted, your backward voice reveals all your secrets.
Yeah.
The dude that makes the channel, I don't know what his name is, but he's got a virtual sidekick. It's a little goldfish, and he makes these little jokes on the side. And it's at 17 minutes after. He says, you know what I want to do? I want to shave you down and make a sweater out of your wool. So it's kind of like calling somebody a sheep.
Oh my God, that's hilarious, man.
So it's like, man, it's getting cold in here. You have to shave us some wool. We'll probably have enough for a hat and a scarf. Good turtleneck. So yeah, I think everybody in Flat Earth, as best as they humanly possibly can, they've tried to be academic about this, and I'm sure people have made it personal, but I think as a community, everybody's tried to stay level on that one. But so I think since it's been going on fairly soon, it'll be 10 years. I don't know, depending on what people consider date and whatnot, but I mean, and in the big idea of social change, things take decades in some areas. And so,
well, there is a social change over it. This one will be stealth. It won't be obvious because that thing I was just talking about, right? People kind of keep it to themselves.
Right. So, dude, we're probably going to be 10 years from now.
You'll have a room like there'll be 10 flat earthers in there, but they think everybody thinks the Earth's a globe, so they're not going to tell anybody.
Right.
That's some weird stuff, man, when you think about it. Imagine being like in a room where everybody's flat earthers, but they're talking about space because they can't let anybody know they're a flat earther, so they have to just keep parroting like the narrative publicly.
That sounds like an awesome reality show. We could actually do that like they do on TV.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually.
Oh my God, that's something Witsit could do. He could do a social experiment like that. Nobody wants to say they're a flat earther.
Get 10 flat earthers in the house, and they're not allowed to so they have to be closet flat earthers.
Yeah, put a bunch of flat earthers together, make up whatever scenario, a normie scenario, and see how they react.
And the first person to figure out they're all flat earthers like wins or something.
Yeah, like, okay, have you ever seen that show 60 Days In? They send people from the outside inside the prison system to act like a normal inmate. Well, after like the season, people knew of the show from their incarceration point, wherever it was. So, it's normal, quote unquote, for them, normal behavior to try and out somebody as a snitch or whatever. Like if you're new, they got to feel you out and all that. But there was people saying, oh, are you 60 days in? So that would be like, to my point. Which I would. A sidebar.
You know how I would figure it out?
What?
You know how I would figure it out?
How
just
the
ask
flat
everyone.
earthers? Oh,
Yeah, I'll just ask everyone in the room what happened to Building 7. If they have
yeah,
if they laugh,
Committed suicide.
however,
yeah.
you made up the scenario, the script of what would happen in the observation area of the room. Maybe they were to say certain questions and such like that would indicate to a flat earther, hey, I don't believe in the narrative we're given all over the place. You can talk to me about conspiracies. You know how we vet people.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
why I say if you just ask them about Building 7 and they ask, what do you mean by Building 7? You're just like, you're right. Moving on. It's like speed dating.
So I don't know. Somebody should be able to take that idea and build off of it. I mean, why not do something like that and put it on a YouTube channel? Therefore, cementing it into the ether of knowledge forever. And there's enough, people in Flat Earth that are comfortable putting themselves out there. Why don't we do a game show? The Flat Earth is Right would be the name of the game show. Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Flat Earth is Right.
I actually want to make a Flat Earth video game, but
Ooh.
but no one would play it unless it was freaking had an edge in there or something. And I don't want to do that.
Would you make it like Commodore 64 type graphics, or what's the case?
Oh man, it's Commodore 64. Hell no.
I mean, if you did it okay, if you could make the app or system program, you'd have to make it.
You know how I do it? I know how I do it now. It would be a troll video game, Jen. It'd be a troll video game.
Okay.
Right? The purpose of the game would be to get to space, but it's like a flat Earth video game, and you can't actually get there. Have all these people run around wasting their time.
Ooh, that makes me think of remember that game, The Lemmings?
Yeah, where they all follow each other off the cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, that's the one where you had to hit the other lemmings. Or no, that's Worms. Worms. That was an old game.
I barely remember Lemmings. I mean, I remember playing it for hours and hours, but...
No, they would march from one side of the screen. It was a side scroller. They would start marching from one side to the other, and there'd be all sorts of obstacles, and you'd have to build bridges and all sorts of stuff so they wouldn't die.
Right. You had to save them by building the correct obstacle course for them.
Yeah.
But, all dressed up to go to space and nowhere to go. In your video game, though, right?
Yeah, well, it would be like a real-time strategy game, right? So, I don't know if you ever played them, right? So they have, let me think of one. Age of Empires. So, you start off, you have, just some area, and you got to build up, and you, as you, mine stuff and get more stuff, you can upgrade your technology, so you'll go from, horses and buggies to automobiles to flying cars, right? So as you get along, as you get resources. So, but eventually you get to the space age. In some games you get to the nuclear age, and that'll be the top level. And but there's other players in the game, right? And they're trying to. It's like the race to the top. It's like the race to the top of the technological ladder. Because once you are at the top, you have the best weapons, you have the best technology, you get the resources the fastest, right? So it gives you an advantage over the other people. Because you got to try. The purpose of the game is to take their territory, right? So make a game the purpose is to get to space, right? And you have to advance you start from scratch caveman or whatever, and then you have to build up your technology until you get to the space age. And then the first person to launch a rocket into space is the winner, but there is no space. The real goal of the game is the first person to figure out the Earth is flat and not even try to do that wins the game.
Damn.
I think you're onto something there, India. But I would suggest, I don't know if you've ever played. There's a game called it's pretty old. It's called Game Dev Story. Basically, you're in charge of this development team, and you get to put out games every year or whatever, and you have to choose all the different things and stuff like that. But basically, the idea would be you are NASA or the equivalent of NASA, and you have to keep coming up with shit to try to deceive the public.
That'll be an expansion pack. That'll be an expansion pack, man.
Stop them from figuring it out.
Like a Sims game, I'm just saying.
No,
Yeah,
like that. We'll come up with the regular game, and then like there'll be a NASA expansion pack, and then like that part of the game, you have to like keep coming up with new bullshit to tell the people so that they don't riot. It'll be like the zombie apocalypse, right? Like if you don't keep feeding them nonsense to keep them occupied on space fantasy, eventually they become restless and like take over your headquarters.
So, in the cartoon series called Inside Job, which I think is done on Netflix, hopefully I heard a rumor that they're going to pick it up on Cartoon Network. Woo-hoo. But
I was supposed to watch that. I forgot to.
There's an episode where the clones are released from the laboratory, and there's like a whole bunch of JFK ones, and they all like work as like this mob. It's so fucking hilarious. Like, woo-wee. So, yeah, I can't imagine you will be not entertained by the show.
The PR department.
If you watch
that's the PR.
If you watch I wasn't a huge fan of the episode that my big flat Earth wedding. I think there's other episodes that are way better than that. I'm just.
Hold on, dude, that just hit me. The name of that show is Inside Job.
Yep.
That's fucked up, dude.
Yep.
So yeah,
what a way to like tribute. Oh man. Hold on a second.
I want to get an audio file for the title sequence music and have that as my ringtone.
Yep. How awesome for them, man. That's crazy, man.
Well, okay, so like I said, they're done with Netflix, but I heard a rumor that
Who cares, dude? Now when you type Inside Job at Google, freaking Netflix comes up.
Well, I heard
what would happen if you typed that 10 years ago? Think about it.
Wow.
Well, some 9/11 shit would come up, right? If you typed in Inside Job into Google 10 years ago, 9/11 shit would come up. Now when you type it up, a TV show mocking it comes up.
Right.
Okay, so it's the same thing with Tesla. 10 years ago, before the car, you typed in Tesla, you get a bunch of Nikola Tesla stuff. Now you get a car commercial.
Wow.
Right? So they keep coming up with these names of places. It displays other stuff. So that it's some popular thing ends up taking some name. So when you use that search term in Google, whatever it previously meant, that's just gone. It's just pushed out of the way.
And how many times have we seen that with our own eyes? Like, like
There's
the
a
word.
classic one that happened recently, actually. Not that long ago, maybe 1.5 years ago, with your current president's son and the drugs he was taking, and then all of a sudden there was all these articles about Joe Biden giving out free crack pipes. So if you searched for the last name and then crack or whatever, you would come up with free crack pipes instead of the story that they were trying to hide.
Wow.
Man, it's a trip.
Yeah, so that's a pretty recent one.
There's also a third one I noticed that, like, I can't remember what it was, but there's another one that if you type it in, it just like, you don't get anything. You don't get the original thing that was like some conspiracy theory. It's the Google results just push it out of the way because you get some other, pop culture fad thing.
Well, hey, guess what? One of the characters within the deep state staff, if you will, I think it's supposed to be Buzz Aldrin, but there's some sort of experiment gone wrong and something really crazy, but yeah. Either a parody of him or it's supposed to actually be him. I mean, there's a lot to the show. So yeah, I really hope they get only 2 seasons for the show. And I saw an announcement that Netflix is not going to partner with them. You know how they say it real nice and everything.
I never searched Pirate Bay for Flat Earth, man. Let's try this.
So yeah, I love the music for the. Yeah.
Does Pirate Bay still exist, or it's just this mirrors?
Yeah. It's hard to tell. All the mirrors still exist. If you Google Pirate Bay proxy, I don't know if it's like the original, but like I've been using that since they got.
Me too. Me too. Pirate Bay. Woo woo.
Yeah, it's up to date.
Flat Earth Simulator? What the hell is that?
It's probably Glover made it, or anti-flat earther.
Interactive simulation of day and night cycles on a flat. Oh my god. Probably a fucking virus.
Or that.
Should I try it? Why not?
Use it in the sandbox.
I'm gonna have to run that in some sort of VM. Not running that on my machine. They got Eric. The top thing is ebook Flat Earth Conspiracy by Eric Dubay. 24-hour truth documentary by Russian Vids. Flat Earth 2017. It's like some movie. The Flat Earth.
So
yeah, I was just reading through like if you type Flat Earth in the Pirate Bay, they have a bunch of stuff. 100 Flat Earth books. What's down with these?
Wow. So on the title sequence to Inside Job, they show they just posted a flat disc. So yeah.
India, that Flat Earth Simulator's on Steam, by the way.
Oh, okay.
If you want to watch a shitty video about it, it's this disc in space.
Okay. I gotta stop that download. I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah,
I'm too busy. I'm too busy playing around with that stuff.
Inside Job puts it out there as a disc in space. So
well, yeah, I figured that. I'm gonna watch I'm downloading the episode. I'm gonna watch it and see what I think about it. Because I've seen like 3 minutes of it or something like that. I think I seen like the end where they're like fighting or something, where they're like destroying everything at the wedding.
Yeah, they're on They're on a ship. They're on the water.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be like sailing to the edge of the earth or something.
Mm-hmm.
So stupid, dude.
Yeah, big time. But we got to think of whoever's out there absorbing this shit.
Well, it's just reinforcing the nonsense in kindergarten, right? Christopher Columbus, the narrative that everybody thought the earth was flat and that you would sail off the edge, and then Christopher Columbus came along and he convinced the King of Spain with a physical globe. He showed this is what it's like, and I'm going to sail to India, and he proved the earth was round. Even though he never made it to India, got lost, crash landed onto a fucking island, almost starved to death, and then the Indians had to freaking help him live until he could sail back. But that's the actual history. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I got you.
but that's not what you're told in kindergarten.
Okay, you know my stance on that BS story. Remember, there's a video out there. It's called "I Columbused It."
I Columbused it. Yeah, that's right.
So I discovered it, even though it's already been discovered, and there are people there already. I mean, but I Columbused it.
Yeah, who discovered who, man?
Mm-mm-mm. But yeah,
So that discovery thing, there's actually a legal reason. We call it discovery now, but back then, see, they like, you know, because in Europe they have titles to land, right? So that's how you know who owns land, right? There's a chain of titles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, you know, I got the land because I acquired to somebody else that had the right to use the land, that yada yada yada, going back. Well, when they got to America, there's no titles, right? There's no paperwork. So it's like, so they had to create a legal theory under which they own the land. And one of those legal theories was by right of discovery. Like, they came over here and they discovered some land, in that the land wasn't being used, that particular whatever part of land they want, and because it had been abandoned property, right? So they're taking some of their laws, the rationales of some of their laws, right? So so basically they said, we're national squatters, and we're coming, we're squatting the land, and because we maintain and make use of it, the right, and we discover the right to own the land just comes to us because we're using it. Because we fenced off a piece, like we put a fence, a square fence around, some piece of property, and we cut down all the shrubs, removed all the rocks, maintained it, right? Yeah, so that's how people were, like, you could pilfer property, right? So if your neighbor doesn't take care of his, his grass, and you mow it for 30 years and he doesn't do anything about it, you end up owning it.
Right.
Yeah, so they use this legal theory to maintain, like, the right of ownership, because eventually what ended up happening is someone comes, right, like in the 1500s, and they're like, yeah, I own this property, but someone else comes along and just says, no, I own it, fuck you, right? So they go to court, and the guy's like, I want to quiet my title. Okay, where's your title? Because no one was here before that. Like, where did you acquire the property from? And that's how the law is set up to do the chain of custody, right, of the property. And there is no chain because he was the first person, right? So now you have, like, two people in court saying they both own something, and neither one of them can prove that they own it because there's nobody before them. So it came, like, they had to come up with some legal theory on why that first guy had the right to be there, and that legal theory was called right of discovery. Then it ended up becoming that they have to frickin' throw that out because that wasn't really tenable, and they just went to the old standby, right by conquest, and we just took the shit.
Right, yeah.
Because they know how that works, right? They know how that works, right? They didn't have to make up a brand new legal theory. They already know the right of conquest in Europe, right? So if you're a king and you take some land somewhere else, right, you've taken it by conquest, and that's it.
Right, exactly. But they put it out there under the guise of discovery.
Exactly. I mean, but that's public relations because they're trying to look good, right? Without being like, yeah, you're just thieves. Because there was no, like, official war, because, like, in a right of conquest, you have to, like, declare war on the other country or the other sovereign, and then fight, right, and then take some land from them, and, like, the way, that's all well laid out on how that works. But, like, the Native Americans, they were kind of nomadic. They didn't stay in one place. So, and, like, there were so many tribes, like, there was no actual war for the right of conquest to apply, right? Because they're like, who are you at war with? Who owned the property in the first place? Because you end up with the same problem. But they'd rather just say, that's what they ended up settling on, the right of conquest. They took it by conquest. They didn't take it by discovery, because the discovery thing was a completely new legal theory, and they just like, we can't defend that. We'll just abandon it. It's just easier to just say conquest. But a lot of the law stuff is just public relations. That's all it is. It's basically you did some fuck shit, and you're trying to like make up some rational justification for your frickin' immoral act. And like, you know, it's rationalizing something that is immoral, right? With a bunch of legalese.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, anybody can, like, dude, I mean, how many horror stories do you need to hear about courts and injustice? Like, how many do you need to hear?
Right.
There's supposed to be the halls of justice. Justice is blind, yada, yada, yada. Even that is a bunch of PR nonsense. Justice ain't blind. You know how I know justice ain't blind? Because what's everybody's legal advice? Not get a good lawyer. It's don't piss off the judge. Right? Oh, you got court. Don't piss off the judge.
Oh, and yeah, everybody knows.
So his emotional state determines my case, whether he's happy or not.
Well, I think that's I think that's translated to other public servant positions in our government, like police officer.
Yeah, their emotional state determines how your day's going to go.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So Shane,
even longer than a day, right? It can be how your next 10 years are going to go.
Right. Yeah, there's
you go to court. There's actually a study that found that, like, what was it? It was like, if the judges, what they did was they took, like, whether or not the defendant was given bail, and what they looked at, had the judge eaten lunch? Was it before lunch or after lunch? And more people ended up being not given bail if they went into the court after lunch.
Wow.
And the whole idea was, had the judge eaten? So basically, if the judge had a big fucking meal, you're not getting bail. If he had a nice lunch where he ate a bunch of food, you're not getting bail.
Wow.
And there's probably something to that, like you feel satisfied, right? And you just feel like maybe it's laziness or whatever. Competence. Maybe less mercy. I don't know. Like, there was never an explanation to this correlation, but like whether you got bail or not correlated to whether the freaking judge had eaten lunch, which is ridiculous, dude. Think about that. I gotta go to jail because you ate lunch. Jesus Christ, man! Like, why?
Where do you think the term hangry comes from?
Yeah, there you go. No, but they had eaten. They weren't like hungry. They had already eaten. It was like the reverse of like what you would kind of expect, right? That someone that he hadn't eaten, they're grouchy. You know, they don't want to do this.
Well, it sounds like to me like the ego is being fed somehow. So if the ego is satisfied, then that's going to make a different outcome.
There's also another possible reason, and that's corruption. It could be like, okay, 100 people are getting out of jail today. We need to stick 100 people in jail. Well, how many cases you got? Well, we got 250 cases. Well, shit, I gotta let the first 150 people go. You know what I mean? And that takes all morning. And then the afternoon comes like, okay, let's fill up those 100 slots. No bail, no bail, no bail, no bail, no bail, no bail, no bail. You know what I mean? Complete corruption.
I mean, that sounds like human trafficking. Good Lord.
Dude, like, court system is a scam. Just another scam. of the many. Whenever I've been in court in a couple of years. I just go to observe sometimes, well, I used to. And it's a frickin' train wreck. I just hear a cash register. That's to me, like, that's all I see. If you look at, like, objectively what's going on and forget all the PR about, you know, justice and what they're doing, and just observe what's going on. It's like they have hostages. And they're like, the hostages are auctioning off their own freedom. And the thing is, because they're intimidated by, like, because they're such sheep and, like, they just bow to authority.
Right.
They're not even doing it to them. They're doing it, like, the court isn't even doing it to them. They're doing it to themselves. They're literally doing it to themselves. The judge will go, I think you should have $500 bail. And he'll talk to the lawyer like, I'm thinking about setting bail at $500. What does the defense think? And they'll, like, literally, like, agree to it. Like,
I get it.
Listen to them, they're like agreeing to it, and like the defendants agree to everything. Like the judge will say, because people are trying to, like, oh man, if I'm nice and I'm agreeable, I won't get in trouble. No, dude, don't be agreeable. Be fucking disagreeable. Like, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want that either. Nothing you say I want. I don't even want to be here. Like, no. You got to learn how to say fucking no in court. No to everything. You want to sign this? No. What's your name? No. Like, I'm not like.
You're sounding like fucking a Megan Trainor song. It's called No.
Well, the thing is, they can do anything they want to if you agree to it, right? Because you're consenting. You have to disagree to everything.
Well, I have a new stock answer. If I ever happen to be pulled over, I'll have to say, with all due respect, sir, I'm in no under legal obligation to assist you in your job. Therefore, I have to claim the Fifth Amendment from this point forward. I mean, I'll get my driver's license and such, but I'm not going to be an asshole, but I'm not going to be answering no questions.
The topic of human trafficking. The topic of human...
The topic of human trafficking.
Oh, yeah, the topic of human trafficking just came up. And here in Los Angeles, the police are very good at that. What they do, if you go to one jail here in Los Angeles, then you'll stay there overnight, and then they put you on a bus, and they'll transport you to another jail, where you might stay for a day or two, and then they'll transport you to another jail. That way, they get to pay the police for transportation, and hauling everybody around keeps their budget up. And you never stay in one jail for any amount of time. They transport you around a lot.
Wow.
So that's coming from first-hand experience.
So basically, they have a mobile jail going on, too, because you got to spend time in transit, right?
Well, yeah, you might spend an hour or so
in time where there's prisoners between jails. Right?
Well, they've got LA County buses all around here. I see them on the freeway every day. They're all darkened out windows. You can't see on the inside, but they will constantly move you. There was a time a little over 10 years ago. I was arrested for something that I shouldn't have been arrested for. I was in jail for a week, and I was in a different cell almost every day. They moved me around.
Was it misidentification?
No, it was... it had to do with some of the laws.
I don't need to know why, because I have something to say about LA County Sheriff's Department, something that happened back in 2010 or 2012. So in 2012, they did an analysis of people that had been arrested on warrants, and it turns out something like 1,200 people had been arrested just because their name matched somebody in the system. So say like they had a warrant for someone named Jose Gonzalez, and the cops pull you over. Like, what's your name? Jose Gonzalez. Boom, you're under arrest. Your name is in the freaking system. Listen, and these 1,200 people, they weren't all of them. That wasn't the total number. The 1,200 were the people that spent 90 days in jail or more before they were released. So think about it. My name's John Smith. There's someone in their system named John Smith. They arrest me, and it takes me more than 90 days to prove that I'm not the John Smith in their system.
Damn.
That doesn't surprise me at all. There was one time that we were being walked down the halls, and they told us, okay, keep looking forward, don't look anyplace else. And this one guy in line, a few people ahead of me, happened to look into one of the rooms, and I guess there was a sergeant there or something. He went on, what the hell are you looking at? Blah, blah, blah. They came out and beat the fuck out of him, then put him back in the line. When it was time for me to get processed from one place to another, they had us all stand or sit at a wall, facing the wall, and don't look left, don't look right, don't look back. And one of the jailhouse goonies, one of the ones, trustees, they call them, they all told us, okay, take off your shoes and put them behind you. And so we did what we were told. And I took off my shoes, and they left with my shoes, and I was still in there for another 3 or 4 days without any shoes. So, and that kind of stuff is encouraged. Let the trustees do whatever they want to. It's a crazy system there. Crazy system.
I have a question. Have you seen that show? I forget which channel it's on television, but it's called 60 Days In.
It's called what?
60 Days In is the name of it. Here.
I've seen that, where they put fake people into prison or whatever, and get to see what it's like.
Yep. So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
did you think it seemed realistic what they put out on TV?
Well, I've never been in a prison before. I was in LA County Jail, several different branches, just getting moved around. It's not the same as a prison system. So thank God I haven't been in there.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Thanks.
Yes, check this out. When a state takes a agent into custody, there's a law where they get remunerated $27,000 per instance. So in theory, if they move you to 5 different jails, they just made $100,000.
Wow.
That money comes from the tax base, right?
Right.
And so there's an incentive to take people into custody for whatever reason you could think of. It's the same thing with child support and other type of things, is that there's laws that pay back the states that enact this stuff. So every dollar under child support that a state collects, they get 66 cents. So if you pay $1 and then the dollar goes to the other parent, the feds pay those people 66 cents, and it's discretionary. So that discretionary, when you're paid discretionary funds, you can use it for whatever you want, and more often than not, it's used for salary.
Wow.
So yes, there's financial incentive, quite a lot, to take things from people and to take people from their freedom.
Well, the whole term of innocent until proven guilty is totally backwards. It doesn't work like that at all. You are guilty until proven innocent.
So isn't that like talking out of both sides of your mouth, what they did?
No, it's just like this world. It says one thing and they do the other. Look at NASA. Oh, we're going up to space. No, actually, we're just in an underwater tank. Yeah, everything is the opposite.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Upside down clown world, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so after my whole ordeal, I was in jail for about a week. It took me a couple of years with the trial, and by the time it was done, I was found not guilty and given time served. So how about that?
Hmm. So it wasn't. I mean, can what happened to you considered to be a civil rights violation?
Oh, well, I was legally growing marijuana with a doctor's prescription in California, where it was legal with a doctor's prescription.
Oh,
And so this is one of the neighbors. I had a shed in the back, and that's where it was growing. One of the neighbor kids broke into it, ripped me off, told some of his friends about it. Someone ended up telling the police. They came over, busted me, accused me of doing a whole bunch of stuff that they couldn't prove. And then I was able to prove, how long I've been doing it, where I got anyway, the long story short, all the fallacies that they dropped the charges. So is there any like, okay, well, we're sorry, you had a doctor's prescription, you were legally allowed to do this. So we took all of your equipment, we busted a lot of it up. We took all your camera equipment. We're using it at the cops' homes right now, so you don't get that back. But I had surveillance equipment all around the house after I got broken into.
wow, dude.
And I had a big TV mounted on the wall, and I had it was a picture-in-picture, or I could do a split screen. And I could actually see when the SWAT team was all coming up. They knocked on the door, I let them in, I had a bunch of red dots all over me. It was an interesting situation. And after all that stuff clears up, well, now it's recreational, so you can go ahead and do this for fun. Here you go.
Right? I get it.
But I ended up losing a house over that whole fiasco. And it just turned my world upside down. Just to oh well, we're sorry. I guess you could have done this after all.
Yeah. It's messed up.
Well, like I said, during that week or so that I was in, I started off once in one county jail. Then the next day they transferred me to the main LA County jail, Twin Towers, and then they transferred me up to maximum security up a little ways above Los Angeles, and then transferring back down to the Twin Towers, and then transferring me from one floor to another. I mean, the whole thing, it's crazy, man.
Sounds for sure. Wow.
And one of my first day there was this one gentleman that was covered in tattoos, that he had tattooed on his hand. And he said, "You know what that means?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Well, that means I've killed somebody." So, and I was white, he was white, and there was a bunch of other people that were black, brown, just about everything but white, but we're the only two whites there. So he was letting me know that I could go ahead and talk to him. You're not allowed to talk to people or hang out with people of different colors. Everything is extremely racial in there. A white person and a black person cannot be in the shower at the same time. There's a white person in there, the black person has to wait. If the black person, you have to wait.
Wow.
And they keep it that way. They like to have it that way. They've got, as far as the people of brown skin, you're either, what do they call them, Southsider, or they had another one for the immigrants that couldn't speak English very well. And to be honest with you, I don't remember those names. I've tried to forget that situation. That's happened that was 14 years ago. It's been a long time. But I can still remember some of the stuff there. It's our whole political system, our judicial system, our police state that we have. Everything can really use some redesigning. Go ahead.
I get it. The whole thing is just messed up.
And you never really know. You see stuff on TV, and it's nothing like that at all. What it's really like once you're in the middle of it. It's like fucking. I didn't think I was going to make it out. I thought I was probably going to end up dying in there because I'm not a hardened criminal that does 50 burpees first thing in the morning when he's getting up. I don't know burpees. If you know what burpees are, but it's kind of like where you're standing up and then you jump down on the ground into the push-up position, do a push-up, and then jump back up again. And everybody in there is trying to make themselves physically stronger to go ahead and protect themselves. Because, where I was, I was in a couple of different places. In Supermax, it was just one big cell, and everybody had their own little bunks in there. The main Twin Towers, the first day I went in, I was in the medical unit because I was diabetic. And, that was tolerable. When they put me into, I don't know what you call it, general population or whatever, but on one floor, there's a room with like maybe 100 people in it. And all it is these metal bunk beds with just barely enough room to walk in between them. So they make it so it's very easy for conflict to happen. And they make it so you need to stay with your own race to keep from getting hurt or violated. But that doesn't mean you might not get hurt or violated by your own race. So I'm lucky I wasn't a pretty young little boy. I'm an ugly old man, so nobody wanted a piece of my rear end. But I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of stuff happened there. Actually, in one of the jails, I don't remember which one it was, but there were separate cells that had 2 people in it. And a couple of the guys had tied up some towels in front of the bathroom area. So I have no idea what they were doing back there, if they were doing drugs or doing each other. One of the other ones that I was at, the big one where you had 100, 200 people in that one big room with all the bunk beds. After we had our meals, one guy was coming by and collecting all the fruit because he was making pruno.
Yep.
Toilet wine.
Got to get that hooch. That's crazy. How long does it take to make that? Like a week?
I don't know. I wasn't part of it. When the guy came by and asked for my apple, I said, no, thanks. I'm planning on eating this. So I don't know if I, broke the rules because I didn't voluntarily give my fruit, but it didn't matter because, I was out of there within 1 or 2 days. I mean,
right.
I wasn't long enough there for the pruno to be made. But there was one guy that was in there, and he had like a big clear trash bag, like one, that you'd put in maybe not a 50-gallon, maybe a 20-gallon or so, with all of his clothes in there. And he said that he'd been in there for 2 years in county jail. So I thought that, they had to put you in prison. That you can't just stay in the county jail. That's just a temporary holding spot. But while you're in court, that's your home. If you can't make the bail. I was lucky I was able to make the bail. My wife went ahead. She had a bunch of electronic equipment, 2-way radio equipment and stuff. And she got enough money together, so I was able to get bailed out. I made my appearance, so, the bail bondsman was happy. But I still had to pay the bail bondsman my percentage. And I think originally they wanted something like $1 million bail for me. And I was just a homeowner that had diabetes and problems with my eyes and didn't want to get glaucoma, so I went ahead and decided to grow some marijuana. And so I'm a $1 million criminal. They ended up taking the bail down. I think it was down. They finally brought it down to like $250,000. Then they brought it down to $20,000. And at that point, we could go ahead and afford to make bail by getting a bail bondsman. So I think that's like $2,000. Maybe it was $50,000. We had to pay him $5,000. My wife took care of all that. I was inside. I didn't know what was going on. And quite frankly, I don't remember the amount. It was more than we had at the time. And I guess the caveat of all of this is now marijuana is legal. You can get it recreationally here, and I can't smoke it anymore because my diabetes. I'm using an inhalable insulin now instead of shooting insulin all the time. So I still have to shoot one kind of insulin, but I take a powdered insulin called Afrezza, and I can't smoke because that'll just block my lungs. I can't smoke cigarettes, pot, anything like that, because it makes it harder for the insulin to go to work. But I used to be a card-carrying, badge-wearing member of NORML, NORML, National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. I'm glad to see that it's reformed, for everybody out there. But I went through my trials and tribulations, if you will. So I'm still learning voices out here. Was that Janae that I was just speaking to?
Yeah.
Okay, and now that was either Mimas Aurelius or Indio that was speaking a little bit earlier. And
it was Indio.
Indio, okay.
Yep. And by the way, could you hear my little dog barking in the background?
No, I could not. But tell your little doggy I said hi and give him a pat on the head for me. I love animals.
Just wondering, because he was acting a fool a moment ago.
Well, today is a beautiful traffic day on LA freeways. Almost near the Los Angeles International Airport where I work. I had to go right through the middle of downtown LA to get here. And I've been going like a steady 55, 60 miles an hour the whole way.
Nice.
So today is a good day. It's probably only going to take me a little over half an hour to get to work to go 20 miles. So that's a good day.
Uh-oh. Shit.
And listening to the newscast this morning about the weather, I work by the beach, and so over here it's supposed to be cool and overcast. In the mountains, it's going to be about 10 degrees higher. In the desert, it's going to be about another 10 degrees higher. So within a 20 to 30 mile range, so yeah, I'll say 30 miles, there can be 30 degrees temperature difference today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, is your weather report for Los Angeles. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation. I just had to comment about the jails and human trafficking and how the LA court system has a very big participation in that.
Oh, yeah, it's a big money-making ordeal for sure.
And I'm almost to work, but one more comment about human trafficking. I was on a couple of days ago, I was actually speaking on my way home on the channel here. And as I was driving through downtown Los Angeles, on the right side of the street, there's like 4 or 5 hookers barely dressed. I mean, you can see their whole butt. They're just wearing like a thin dental floss G-string or something. Their boobs hanging out. And then on the left side of the street, there's one of LA's finest driving down the street, not paying any attention at all. But what I saw the cop do, he went over and started hassling this old black lady that was walking across the street, telling her to hurry up because the light had changed. And I'm getting off on my off-ramp. I'll be shortly getting out of the car and logging out of here, logging back in from work where I will be listening for the remainder of the day. So everybody have a good morning. If you ever see me on here and you wonder how come I'm always on there, it's because at work I don't have a microphone, I can't talk. And in between, I do technical support. So in between calls, I try to listen in. I always mute it whenever I got a customer on the phone, of course. I don't want to get a customer riled up and lose my job.
Oh, wow, right?
Paramount Plus has a big one of those electronic billboards up here advertising a new Beavis and Butthead movie.
Oh, yay! I love Beavis and Butthead.
I think it's going to be on.
You know, there's
Looks like it's going to be on.
It's going to be on what? Where is it going to be?
Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah, Paramount Plus. They have all their content on Paramount Plus for sure. So yeah, right now there's only 2 episodes for season 2 of the latest installment.
Okay, I'm pulled into my parking spot here, and have a pleasant morning, everybody. And I'll be listening to you later.
All right, you have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, who else is in here? Anyway, I gotta do stuff, guys. I'll talk to you later.
in a world. Okay, kind of a sloppy intro, but we'll get there. Hopefully everything's working. We are using OBS, so we'll see how it goes. But what up, fam? What up, fam? All right, so Schooling Globers episode 8. Put together a little presentation, maybe a couple mistakes in there, but I tried to get it done. Cool. And I'm going to let you guys pick which format I show the presentation. You guys can tell me. So the first option, this one, where I'm blocking a ton of it. Second option, just the presentation. Third option, chat, me, and the presentation. Love you, brother. MKE Matt. Thank you for the $50 super chat. Very generous. It will probably pop up on the screen if everything is working. But thank you for the generous super chat. Much love. All right, so I think this looks pretty cool as long as the words are big enough for you guys to read, because this way we can see the chat. So I think it's pretty cool. You guys can see the chat on the screen. And I don't know if it's showing super chats though. Let's go. Remember for 5 months. Clearview, thank you for being a miswit for 5 months. Third one. All right, cool. I'll just do the third one and we'll see what happens. Okay, so the stream is in the true nature of the name of the stream. We are going to be schooling Globers about the globe deception and its timeline. Obviously, if I were to put everything in it, it would be a 12-hour show. There are certainly things that have been left out, but we're gonna figure it out. All right, cool. The chat looks crazy. There's probably a reason. It's probably something I did. Don't got time to mess with it. Okay. Let's get started. So, globe deception timeline. You guys can tell me if you think I should switch to where the presentation is full screen or whatever. If it's too small. All right. So, the globe deception timeline. I've briefly covered this some when I was on my tour off the top of my head. People wanted me to cover it and wanted a little timeline that they could show people. So here it is. Let's start from seemingly the beginning. So here's what we're going to cover. Here's the timeline. We're going to go from 350 BC all the way through to 1933. And then from 1945 all the way through to 1972. And like I said, so much more could go into this, but I will move my cursor and let you take a screenshot. We'll actually go full screen so you can take a screenshot of the timelines here. We go from the globe Earth inception all the way through the Copernican model, Michelson-Morley, all the way to dark matter. And then we go from Operation Paperclip all the way to the infamous blue marble. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's come back over here. And like I said, if you guys think it's too small, I'll keep it full screen. But we're going to go ahead and go to the first slide. 350 BC. Presentation is better full screen. Okay, everyone agrees full screen. Cool. I'm cool with it. Boom. Yeah, I'll come over here to explain stuff. Okay, cool. So, scene 1. Let's go. 350 BC, globe Earth inception. Aristotle allegedly, now we're obviously rocking with the historical claims, was the first to declare the Earth was a sphere. He was the first to formally declare it according to the official mainstream narrative. Some people had mentioned it inadvertently in poetic form, but Aristotle is the first to formally declare the Earth is a sphere, because moving north and south causes an alteration in the horizon in his writings on the heavens. This was built upon earlier declaration that the perfect shape was a sphere, thus the Earth must be a sphere. So I'm actually going to come over here already. So this is important to understand. This has a philosophical birth, in which they thought the perfect shape was a sphere, therefore the Earth must be a sphere. You hear all kinds of stories about how he looked at the eclipse. He saw boats disappearing over the curve. If you actually read the writing that we allegedly have access to, he says that because the horizon changed when you went north to south, the Earth must be a sphere, not only a sphere, but a very small one. That's what he said. Of course, what you view relative to the horizon changes as you go north and south on a plane Earth as well. So from what we do know is his reasoning was very dumb. Okay, that's what we do know. So, very simply put, it was a philosophical premise. You know, the Greeks decided to come up with all kinds of philosophies when they weren't pedophiles. And so here we are. We have the globe. Just so you guys know, that's the official beginning point. Of course, the second one is you'll hear in mainstream articles that he saw boats going over the horizon, which is funny because they just had their naked eye. So I guess the telescope would have made them look stupid, because then you could see the boat from much further, and parts of the bottom of the boat that were obstructed. That's right, you can bring the boat all the way back into view except for the part that's in the water. And as Zach covered in Globebusters last week, actually due to the aperture of any type of optics, you are always going to see the bottom disappear first, because it's going to reach your line of sight before what's higher above it. Simple product of perspective. Okay, let's go to the next slide. 250 BC, distance to the sun. Look at these cool guys here. It is said that in 250 BC, Aristarchus used the quarter moon phase to determine the distance to the sun, guessing the angle and estimating that the moon is 1/3 as wide as the Earth. That's right, you heard that right. He determined the distance to the sun by guessing the angle and estimating that the moon is 1/3 as wide as the Earth. The alleged method is built upon the assumption that during a half moon, the three celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and Earth, should form a right angle. He guessed that the sun was 19 times as far from the Earth as the moon and 19 times as big. I think he may be a little off, seeing as how they currently say it's 400 times as big. Okay, next slide. 240 BC. Now, these guys were knocking it out. Eratosthenes, lacking primary documentation of any sorts. That's right, we literally don't have any primary documentation of this story. And the two secondary documentation sources that we do have are completely different stories. So that's not weird. It is said that Eratosthenes noted that the water wells and pillars in the city of Syene did not cast a shadow at noon on the summer solstice. Yet 500 miles away at the same time, the shadows were long and drawn out. Assuming the Earth a sphere, the light rays from the sun to be parallel, and the sun to be infinitely far away, he calculated a circumference of the assumed spherical Earth. Okay, now, of course, what is hilarious about this is even like the mainstream hit pieces like from Big Thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michelle Thaler from NASA, etc., they'll tell you in their hit piece against Flat Earth that it would definitely work on a flat Earth with two sticks. And of course, we've actually shown that you can have a flat table, have a local light source, use some type of lens to imitate the Atmos, and that you can actually take the shadows, do some spherical math, and make the table a sphere in your math. A flat plane table can be made to be a sphere, assuming spherical geometry. This is very simple stuff. Again, according to the mainstream narrative, he only looked at 2 locations. Now, apparently, he somehow knew that the exact same time and exact same day, somewhere 500 miles away, was doing something. The stories are different, how he did or didn't go there, what he was looking at. It's pretty hilarious, but it doesn't really matter. Because the point is, if you think about it, he says that, if we go north, Aristotle says, we go north and south, things relative to the horizon changes. Earth must be a ball. And that would happen on a flat Earth. This guy says, look, the shadows in 2 different places are different. That means the Earth's a ball. And that would happen on a flat Earth. So when people say, we've known the Earth was a globe for thousands of years, Globers, pay attention. When you say that, you sound very ignorant, because the alleged ways that they discovered the Earth was a globe actually doesn't prove the Earth's a globe. Looking at 2 shadows doesn't prove the Earth's a globe. Seeing a difference in the sky relative to the horizon, north and south, doesn't prove the Earth's a globe. Seeing boats disappear over the water with the naked eye doesn't prove the Earth's a globe. So they didn't know the Earth was a globe for thousands of years, even if we take the historical accounts to be true, wherein which they still were the vast minority of people at the time. So it's a very ignorant talking point used to gaslight you. But Globers, if you have any intellectual honesty, you will stop saying that, because it's just actually remedial. Okay. Wrong one, my bad. All right, let's move back on to the next slide. All right, 1492. Sorry about that. So we go all the way up to 1492. This is the first globe model. Isn't that funny? The first globe model. So the Nuremberg terrestrial globe is the oldest existing scale model of Earth, known as the Erdapfel, don't care, meaning Earth apple. Wow. Science. It was created around 1492 by German explorer Martin something and painter George. Coincidentally, this is the same year Christopher Columbus allegedly utilized the globe idea to discover, quote unquote, the Americas on accident. So he used the globe to navigate, as goes the story, in the same exact year the first globe model ever was made. And by the way, it's inaccurate according to the current globe model. And he thought he was in India. So wow, let's go globe. Go team globe. All right, next slide. 1543, we have the Copernican model. It is said that Copernicus proposed the heliocentric model, making observations of the sky with his naked eye. Wow. He allegedly did this because the math was simpler. In fact, he was quite clear it was simply a model to provide mathematical simplicity founded merely in theoretics. In fact, here is a quote from him. The Pythagorean teaching was founded upon hypothesis, and it is not necessary that the hypothesis should be true or even probable. The hypothesis of the movement of the earth is only one which is useful to explain certain phenomena, but it should not be considered as an absolute truth. Now, I meant to take of heliocentrism out of here. I don't think that's in the original text. Okay, but again, let's just read it. The Pythagorean teaching was founded upon hypothesis, and it is not necessary that the hypothesis should be true or even probable. The hypothesis of the movement of the earth is only one which is useful to explain certain phenomena, but it should not be considered as an absolute truth. That's Nicholas Copernicus himself on the revolutions of the celestial spheres, 1543. Now, I'm going to come over here real fast. What is so funny about this is they try to paint this narrative that in the name of science, he went up against the tyrannical religious system of the time, the Catholic Church. He risked it all. He risked it for the biscuit, you know. He was out here just risking it for science and truth and discovery, and he was just persecuted. No, he was on quote-unquote house arrest in a massive castle. Oh, man, that's rough. While people were being literally tortured and murdered for holding Bibles. This guy was in no way persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church. They were burning people at the stake with Bibles around their neck, and this guy got to stay in a massive castle. Okay, so let's just get that stupid narrative out of the way. But the official narrative is he didn't have any telescopes. They didn't exist yet. He just looked at the sky with the naked eye. He just wanted to try to make the math work. So he just adopted a simpler form, right? That the math was simpler. So he chose the heliocentric idea. Now, actually, he was a sun worshiper. He thought the sun was, symbolic of enlightenment, right? They had this obsession with Gnosticism, the Emerald Tablets, with the idea of apotheosis, becoming a god, and that the path to apotheosis, or attaining god-like status, is full enlightenment or self-illumination, and that the sun is the perfect symbol of this illumination that they should strive for. Thus, it's logical to them that they go around it. It's glorified alchemy built upon occultic sorcery and sun worship, and that's what they say. Okay, so there is no magic discovery that Copernicus came up with. The official narrative is he just thought the math was simpler. Okay, it seems to just be, all this seems to just be stories, to be honest. I mean, I could have gone into extreme depth about a lot more of it, but we'd be here all day. So, all right, moving on. 1609, Kepler's laws. Now, I actually have a quote I couldn't find from Kepler. He says that they've shown, well, we'll read this first. Using Tycho Brahe's geocentric model and data, Kepler proposed his idea of planetary motion and the laws that govern this phenomena. Tycho Brahe was in fact the tutor of Kepler. Kepler claimed the motion in the sky was governed by acoustics, vibrational resonance of sound. Kepler expressly acknowledged all theories of the spherical nature of Earth and heliocentrism were strictly built upon philosophy. And he says this point blank in multiple writings. He says, I've demonstrated through means of philosophy that the Earth, I've demonstrated the redundancy of Earth, meaning that the Earth is round, and that it moves around the sun, and by means of philosophy. Okay, so Johannes Kepler, there you go. And of course, he came up with the planetary motion of the bodies, and Tycho Brahe was his tutor. Now, there are, to this day, neo-Tychonic systems that mainstream astronomers and astrophysicists will acknowledge can actually mathematically map out the sky, which is why it's so hilarious. He literally built his idea upon all the data of Tycho Brahe. So, that's pretty funny. Okay. 1659, Venus estimation. By the way, I would like to just point this out. Looking at the sky, seeing that objects move relative to one another in a repeating cycle, then creating a mathematical formula to describe the relationship of those bodies moving in the sky is not impressive. It doesn't make something true. Globers, pay attention. This is Going Globers. I need you to pay. That doesn't make anything true. And if you make a model by looking at the consistent, perpetual, repeating cycle of the sky, and then you make your model built upon that, then you turn around and say, look, it matches the stuff in the sky, and you utter the word prediction, you are lost in incompetence. That is not how it works. 1659, the Venus estimation. In 1659, Christian Huygens, probably butchered that, allegedly used the newly invented telescope to determine the astronomical unit, which is, of course, the distance to the sun, by guessing that the diameter of Venus was the same size as the Earth. He got within 5% of the currently accepted astronomical model. All right, I got to come all the way over here. Look. Globers, pay attention. If you believe that the Earth's a globe, I need you to pay attention. The official story is that this guy, Christian here, just guessed that Venus was the same size as the Earth and just so happened to get it pretty much accurate. Turns out that Venus is pretty much the same size as the Earth. And by the way, side notes, Aristotle makes the first reference to the idea of Venus being the same as Earth, calling it the sister Earth. This is philosophy that people made up and conjured in their like occultic belief system, their ontological philosophy. That's all this is. It's ontology. It isn't science by any stretch of the imagination. If you think that this model is in fact true, you must believe that this guy just luckily guessed that Venus was the same size as the Earth to determine the astronomical unit, and then got within 5% of the currently accepted astronomical value. And to mind you, right, the guy did the math, and of course this guy used the same method as Aristarchus, and then made the assumption of the size of Venus. Aristarchus said that the sun was 19 times further than the moon, and coincidentally 19 times bigger, so they look like they're the same size. And this guy supposedly gets within 5% accuracy of the currently accepted astronomical unit or distance to the sun, which is drastically different, which just goes to show you that based on what assumptions you make, what interpretations you prefer, how it is that you set up the data, using the same mathematical method, you can get tons of different models, tons of different relationships mapped out. In fact, just using simple trigonometry, you would think the sun and the moon are the same size. Okay, what they did was make an assumption about the shadows on the moon, and they said, oh, whenever it's a half moon, they must form a perfect right triangle, and then he guessed it was around 87 degrees, and then came up with this alleged astronomical unit, which was way off by like a factor of 20. Okay, moving on. Sorry, I'm still getting used to OBS. 1666. Sure some of you guys may have heard of this one. Joe W., thank you for the generous $50 super chat. Much love, brother. Thank you. I want a wig. Do you? In 1666, Isaac Newton apparently had an epiphany as an apple fell from a tree. He had never seen anything fall before that. Newton proposed the first attempted explanation of a dynamic force to describe the orbit of planets. He made it abundantly clear that he could not even think of any theoretical mechanism other than a direct act of God himself. He was a major proponent of an ether, attempting to explain gravity as a byproduct of this dense fluid-like medium without impedance or viscosity. Wow. Side note that I didn't have time to put in. There's a lot of stuff I didn't have time to put in. I'm giving the basic timeline here, but you know what else they said they did in 1666? That's the first time they claimed that they actually observed and recorded the stellar eclipse where the sun and the moon were both visible above the horizon during a lunar eclipse, which actually debunks the globe geometrically. First observed in 1666. What a coincidence. Gravity, 1666. 666 newtons on the Earth is the actual number proposed. Probably a coincidence. Coincidence that it's 1666 and 666 newtons. What are the odds? Could it be a coincidence? I guess, but pretty interesting. And then they say they discovered the polar ice caps on Mars in 1666. These people have just drank the Kool-Aid, man. All right, let's see what this wigware has to say for himself. Newton was very clear that any man with competent thinking whatsoever would never believe such an absurd notion that gravity is some force acts on matter through great distances without a medium to facilitate the interaction. He also made it very clear the Earth could in fact simply be at rest and geocentric. In order for the Earth to be at rest in the center of the system of the sun, planets, and comets, there is required both universal gravity and another force in addition that acts on all bodies equally according to the quantity of matter in each of them, and is equal and opposite to the accelerative gravity with which the Earth tends to the sun. And thus, celestial bodies can move around the Earth at rest, as in the Tychonic system. Physicist Isaac Newton. Now, just to make sure that everyone gets this here, because we are schooling the Globers here. Okay, when you have a fluid-like medium, any interaction is going to have an equal and opposite reaction or reciprocation, which is why in the top levels of mainstream academic sources, you will find them saying that dark energy seems to actually be the equal and opposite reaction of gravity, or it seems to be the anti-gravity, the repulsion, right? The other side of the coin, the interaction that happens outside the 3D dimensions, the 3 dimension. So it's pretty funny because that's what this is discussing. And the mainstream is now trying to figure out how to fix the dark matter, dark energy problem by acknowledging there seems to be a medium. Now, in fact, what we call gravity is nothing more than incoherent dielectric acceleration, so that's just electrostatic acceleration. There's a downward electric bias on the Earth. We have equipotential electric increase. So, of course, we actually have to have 2 Gaussian surfaces. Gaussian meaning able to basically conduct, to contain, or withhold charge. It has a certain capacitance, which is threshold for charge, as we covered in the last stream. Anyway, if you have 2 of these surfaces parallel to each other, that will allow the electricity to be equipotential as it increases, because it has like a finite volume that's being controlled. Thus, you have equipotential. Okay, and this means an equal increase in potential energy with the same amount of increase in altitude. The only way this is possible is 2 Gaussian surfaces. Anyway, we have thus downward electric current to the Earth. Now, this is intrinsically